okay, now to get away from the extension party, Rajon Rondo has agreed to a 2 years, $15 million deal with the Atlanta Hawks. This was written by, actually, it was written by ESPN, but it was reported by Adrian Wojnarowski. Obviously, who else is going to be reported by? That's the guy right there. But honestly, I'm not too fond about this. I think Rajon Rondo needs to be part of a team with two stars. I really do. You've seen how important he was to the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron and AD. You see how important of a distributor he was. You see how important he clutched up in those playoffs, especially with his shooting. I think he was shooting 40% from the three, something insane like that. So like he's obviously a very big contributor to teams. But my problem with this is you're putting him as a backup to Trey Young. Now, if you want to uh use somebody as a mentor to Trey Young, I understand that, but I don't think Rajon Rondo's the guy. And it's not because he's not smart. Rajon Rondo is obviously one of the most intelligent passers, one of the most intelligent players in our league. But the problem I have with this is I want to see Rajon Rondo. I think he was gonna his best fit was gonna go with was either gonna stay with the Lakers or go to the Clippers. But the Lakers already were gonna they already moved forward to get a better point guard when they took Dennis Schroeder. So it was up to him to leave. He was going to leave, but I think the Clippers would have been a good spot. I think they need a point guard. They had Pat Bev, but like I really think they needed a point guard, a true point guard like Rajon Rondo. And I think they needed somebody like Rajon Rondo to display the talents of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And I think Rajon Rondo, I think he's almost going to be out. I think he's about to retire. To be honest with you, he's been playing since 2006. This is going to be his 15th year. So it looks like retirement's near, which is why I signed a 2-year contract. I think after his 17th year, he might retire. But if that's the case, I wanted to see Rajon Rondo on a championship contending team, not the Atlanta Hawks. Because A, you're going to have to back up Trey Young. Trey Young's a great player. I don't see them starting Rajon Rondo over Trey Young. That's never going to happen. And B, if you want to get the whole point is to take as many championships as you can. A lot of people have a problem with ring chasers and everything like that. But what people don't understand is athletes are going to do whatever they can, the best chance they're going to have to get a ring, whether you like it or not. It's as simple as that. Kevin Durant isn't going to be known as the greatest player, one of the greatest players in history if he didn't get that ring with Golden State. So he made a decision. He made a decision into getting it. People are like saying, he could have stayed with OKC for a little bit, but that's not a topic for a different time. My point is this: I would rather see Rajon Rondo on the Los Angeles Clippers, who are a team that is still a contender for the championship despite last season. I would have rather seen him on that team as a starting point guard and spotlight the players on that team, such as Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Lou Williams, opposed to him going to a team that looks like it's rebuilding with a bunch of young players who could be talented within 3 to 5 years, but in 2 years, I just can't see them going to a playoff game. Your thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, I really think the Clippers should have moved in and got Rajon Rondo. Like you said, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Lou Williams, right behind his back. That would have been a great lineup to see. But I mean, like you said, I mean the sun's setting on Rajon Rondo. I remember his days with the Celtics. He was a great player. He's definitely going to be a veteran on that team. And you also got to remember, the Hawks also signed Bogdan. So they got a couple veterans on that team. Vince Carter obviously retired last year, so he's not going to be there anymore. But you also got two young rising stars in Trey Young and John Collins. But I mean, again, I agree with you. I don't think Rajon Rondo is like the best mentor, but maybe he is. And I don't think being a backup to Trey Young is a great idea either, because like you said, I don't see Trey Young. I don't see Trey Young not starting unless if he gets injured. You know what I mean? So like, I mean, we're gonna see. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. I just wish him the best of luck.
Well, let me clarify what I mean by like mentor. I'm not saying he's not the best mentor because I think he's a very good mentor. I think that any point guard should be blessed to have Rajon Rondo mentor them. My problem with this is though, in this time of his career, I don't think Rajon Rondo should. I think Rajon Rondo should be aiming for another championship. How many? This dude I think has two titles. He's got two titles. He's won with the Boston Celtics. And he's won with the Los Angeles Lakers. You go to the Clippers, you have a possible chance to win three titles. Three titles, a player with three titles, that separates them from a lot of players with two. So with that being said, I think he really should have been aiming for that third title. But the one thing I want to say about Rajon Rondo is no matter what team he goes on, he was always a factor. When he was with the Celtics, he was a huge factor. He goes to, I believe, Dallas, I think it was. I think he goes to Dallas. He was a factor on Dallas, but not a big one, but not as big as people would have thought he was. Then he goes to the Pelicans, and he was a big factor on that team too. Again, he was basically spotlighting Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins at the time. Then he goes to Chicago, and the one thing I learned about it, because Chicago's my team, so I learned a lot. When he went to Chicago, I noticed that it was Butler, Wade, and him. And what I noticed about it was we go to the playoffs, right? And we take that 2-0 lead against Boston. And then he gets hurt and he's out. And after that, we lose the next 4. Rajon Rondo was a factor to that. Rajon Rondo was a big factor to why the Bulls lost 4 straight. It's because Rajon Rondo was the setup guy. Rajon Rondo would set up Dwayne Wade. He would set up Jimmy Butler in other ways, spotlight. Rajon Rondo is probably one of the best point guards in the league at spotlighting other star players on the team. And you notice that as he goes to LA, and now he's going to be in Atlanta, but you're not really going to spotlight anybody in Atlanta because you're not going to be playing that on the same floor with Trae Young most likely. And not only that, who else are you going to spotlight on that team? So with that being said, that's why I didn't think this wasn't the best place for Rajon Rondo to go. I don't think it was the best fit. I think the best fit was LA, the Los Angeles Clippers. They're a contending team. He probably would have started over Pat Bev. He would have spotlight Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in a way that no point guard could. And not only that, you could still mentor young guys if you wanted to do that. Plus, you get solid minutes. But now on the Hawks, I can't see it happening.
But I do wish him the best of luck in Atlanta. I wish him the best of luck moving forward, especially with the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, good luck.